Okay, so let's just dive right in. So much of our modern world, from our private messages to our money, is built on this idea of digital trust. But what if the very locks that protect all of that had a hidden expiration date? Today, we're talking about a huge technological challenge, a real quantum countdown that's just been kicked into high gear by some new research from Google. And that brings us to the big question, the one we're really digging into today. Could a totally new kind of computer, a quantum computer, literally pick the lock on our digital cash? We're talking about cryptocurrency here. And well, the answer's getting a lot more interesting and frankly, a lot more urgent than ever before. So let's start with what we're actually up against. And I want to be clear, this isn't some far-off science fiction plot. It's a real, calculated vulnerability in the digital security that pretty much all of us rely on, every single day. Now, the lock itself has a fancy name, Elliptic Curve Cryptography. The easiest way to think about it is like an incredibly complex digital vault. Its strength comes from a specific math problem that is, for all practical purposes, impossible for the computers we have today to solve. This is the bedrock, the foundation of security for Bitcoin, for Ethereum, and so much more. And for the longest time, the general thinking went something like this. Yeah, okay, a quantum computer could theoretically break this lock one day, but it would have to be this massive, unbelievably complex machine, something from a distant, far-off future. The threat was real, sure, but it felt comfortably far away. Well, that brings us to part two, because some brand new research has completely upended that timeline. It turns out the future is knocking on our door a lot sooner than we thought. And this right here is the absolute key takeaway from Google's new paper. The kind of quantum computer you'd need to break our current security? It's not a far future hypothetical anymore. The resources required are now dramatically less than anyone had previously estimated. The countdown has sped up a lot. The most crucial finding really just boils down to one single number, 20, a 20-fold reduction. And that changes everything. So what does a 20-fold reduction actually mean? It means the number of components, the raw power a machine would need to crack our encryption, just got 20 times smaller. It's kind of like finding out you don't need a machine the size of a skyscraper to break into the vault. No, a building the size of a large house will do the trick. It's a total game changer. So the paper gets specific. It lays out these new, much smaller requirements. We're now talking about needing as few as 1,200 stable, logical qubits. You can think of these as the reliable master architects doing the actual code breaking. And they're built by bundling together hundreds of thousands of the more error-prone physical qubits, the construction workers, if you will. This new research slashes the requirements for both. And get this, it cuts the time to actually perform the break down to just a few minutes. This pulls the threat out of the realm of pure theory and puts it firmly into the world of near-future engineering. Okay, so with the problem now looking less like a distant what-if and more like an engineering challenge that's on the horizon, the race is on for a solution. The good news is researchers aren't just sitting around pointing out the problem, they're actively building the fix. And that solution has a name, post-quantum cryptography, or PQC for short. This is a whole new class of digital locks, designed from the ground up to be tough enough to withstand attacks from not just today's supercomputers, but tomorrow's quantum computers too. It's basically the next generation shield for our entire digital world. And hey, don't just take my word for it. The Google researchers themselves describe PQC as a well-understood path to post-quantum blockchain security. They say that putting this in place is what's going to guarantee confidence in the long-term survival of cryptocurrencies in a world where quantum computers are reality. This whole thing brings up a really fascinating and pretty complex ethical question. I mean, if you've just figured out how to pick the world's digital locks, how do you warn everybody that they need to upgrade without also handing bad actors the blueprint to do it themselves? When you find a flaw this big, you basically have three options. You could say nothing at all, that's no disclosure, but it leaves everyone vulnerable. You could shout it from the rooftops, that's a full disclosure, but it arms the attackers at the same time it warns the good guys. So the industry standard has become this middle path, responsible disclosure. You quietly warn the key players, give them a deadline to fix it, and then you go public. But what Google did here was really clever. They used a technique called a zero-knowledge proof. In simple terms, it's a way for them to mathematically prove to the world that their new, more efficient attack actually works without revealing a single secret about how it works. It's like proving you know a secret password without ever saying the password out loud. It's the ultimate form of responsible disclosure. So where do we go from here? This isn't just about sounding an alarm and walking away. It's about providing a clear, concrete roadmap for the entire community to get ready for this massive upgrade. You know, this has been a long time coming. The effort to get ready actually started way back in 2016. This year, 2026, is the moment the urgency became crystal clear. And the target, the big goal, is 2029. That's the year this migration to new quantum-resistant standards needs to be well underway if we want to stay ahead of the threat. So what can be done right now? The recommendations are pretty straightforward. First, the big one. Start the transition to PQC, like now. Second, a simple but really critical security habit. Stop reusing public wallet addresses. It's a practice that can expose them to unnecessary risk. And third, the entire ecosystem needs to figure out a plan for what to do about all the abandoned, vulnerable crypto assets that are just sitting out there as easy targets. And really, that's what this all comes down to. The research is clear, the solution exists, and now the timeline is set. The quantum clock is officially and loudly ticking. The only question left is our digital world ready to make the upgrade before time runs out?